Hello once again, people, and welcome back to, well, Dark Hour, of course. What else would we be doing? Of course it's Dark Hour. Yeah! So, Dark Hour has had a lot of levels, but, um, we're getting near the end. We've gone through most of the pack, and now we're reaching was mostly multiplayer territory. What I mean by that is that it's levels that are particularly designed with multiplayer in mind. Um, so yeah. As I was kind of talking about before, though, it's a rather weird scenario when talking about multiplayer in custom levels. Um, you see, multiplayer is kinda it. It's multiplayer and intended for playing with other players, but then there is a portion that is single player based, as in they'll add in a couple enemies or so. Nothing really spectacular at all. It's only going to be like a couple enemies, but usually they'll throw in like a few. Expect like 4 or 5 enemies. And, well, there's pretty much something to do besides just walk around in single player. Um, so yeah, it's a rather weird scenario whereby you have a couple enemies in the single player portion, but it's officially intended for just multiplayer, and so it kinda skirts around how it's supposed to be when you make a single player level. So basically, if the level plays terribly, they can excuse it and say, well, it was multiplayer anyway. See? It's a cheap trick! And they're using it over and over and over. Either that or it's just a great way to keep us entertained on these levels that would otherwise be fully based on multiplayer. Um, it's weird though that they did this instead of just saying it's single player and multiplayer, but whatever. Um, but yeah, this level is deathmatch only. It specifically says that. Um, and it says it supports 5 players. Now, up until this point, we've been playing levels that are either single player multiplayer, or multiplayer. But the multiplayer levels were specifically multiplayer, and the single player levels were specifically single player. So this is a bit of an oddity, but the way I'm going to cover it, at least on this series, is to basically show you the single player side, not the multiplayer. Because, see, when it comes to multiplayer versus single player, in custom levels at least less well developed levels, should I say, there isn't much difference between multiplayer and single player weapon placement. The only real difference is the fact of the matter that multiplayer's not going to have the enemies. So it almost makes sense to usually cover it in a single player way because you're going to cover multiplayer as well in the same circle. So I think it's the best way to reflect upon everything and show you exactly everything that's going on. It's a rather confusing level. I had this issue when I was doing it initially. I did the exact same thing initially. I'm looking at the video right now just out of curiosity. And I even said that it basically had single player and had a bunch of enemies. um, so yeah, what basically I did in the video was I showed off single player to show you all the enemies, and I said basically that multiplayer is going to be exactly the same, besides, well, no enemies. And I think I'm going to keep to that in this series as well. So basically, if we have a level that's designed for multiplayer, but has enemies in it, I'm going to cover the single player version of said level so we can see the enemies. Because I feel that's kind of more important to his channel than a multiplayer side. Quick, of course, depends on various instances, things like that. As exceptions come up to the rule, of course, I'm going to debate things, and it all depends on how specific it gets or whatnot. But for the Let's Play series, things are pretty casual. That's the whole intent and why these two series are separate. Because here, I could basically do whatever and not make it that professional. It is still pretty much me doing things and trying to do things, but it's with me expressing a lot more opinions than I would on the Quick Eye side. Um, Having a lot of time to commentary based stuff, and in general, just show you how I want to show you and how I feel things are kind of best. Plus, when it comes to casual aspect, I usually will fly through a level quicker, as you kind of see, mainly because you don't need to see it from every side if you're watching the casual. I feel it's more about the reflection as a whole. It's the director's commentary to the normal style, if you will. um, but yeah, it basically goes in, it explains a lot more, it covers everything from different angles, shows you a lot more of the effort and what you need to do to survive this level. It's man versus wild, everyone! But yeah, it's a lot more designed to talk about things, cover different things that come up, and it's made for a totally different perspective. And that's exactly the point. There, it's more about showing off every corner of the multiplayer level and showing how each room looks and the design of everything. Here, it's more about let's pick up a gun, let's pick up another gun. You guys can kind of see what the level mostly looks like. And yeah, honestly, in my videos, I could go a little bit faster in them and you'd still be able to see everything. The point, though, is the fact of matter that allows you to see things from every perspective, those little subtle details you might miss otherwise in the geometry. So, it's something I like to do just to cover everything from every basis. But on the casual side, it really isn't needed. And so therefore why it's kind of streamlined. Because I always stretch this out enough as it is, rambling endlessly about whatever. Yeah. Let's do a narrative of the B-movie! Alright, so, this was made by Tan Lee. Stairs underwater. Doors leading to rooms bursting with soldiers, and finally, two cages of fiends thirsting for your blood. Dare you free them? You know, two cages with fiends. You do realize that you say a deathmatch only. A massive feature of your level is that these are cages filled with enemies, and yet you make it for deathmatch only. Yeah, what is it about this? What is it about, like, Doom did this? Quake is doing this? What is it about these games, like, by id Software? Everyone thought deathmatch meant throw in the enemies and have them fight alongside everything else. Was this like a thing at one time? Was there like a way you could have this going? I think the entire time it's always been with you fighting a map without enemies around. Maybe Doom was different. I honestly haven't played many Doom death matches, especially vanilla Doom. So that really doesn't help the situation. But Quake deathmatch gets rid of enemies. There's no way to have enemies in a Quake deathmatch. So yeah, it kind of completely goes against the logic or rules of the game. Yeah! And yet, a lot of these levels do it! Isn't it brilliant? Well, here's a level. Here's things! It does things! Who knows why it does it? We'll do it anyway and find out why. Also, I should mention before we really do anything, this level is called Arena 2. Yeah! In the loadout screen it's called Army Arena, but in here it's called Arena 2. And the reason it's called Arena 2 is because we had Welcome to the Arena, which Welcome to the Arena was therefore Arena 1. So yeah, because Welcome to the Arena exists, we now have Arena 2. So that's the whole reason why this is a second arena. And that's why we had to cover in the order we did. Because even though this has no relation to Arena 1, it has the name relation. Because, you know, we only have 20 levels, but we ran out of names to give them. Or we could just call this Army Arena. Okay, that's one fish. We must take note of the fact that we have one fish. Oh god, lots of grunts. Wait, where are they shooting from? Where are they shooting from? I can't tell! Oh god, everything's hurting me. Armor! Free armor! Quick! Up here! Open the door! I know I'm being reckless, but I can't see what's going on half the time. And well, everything's trying to kill me in the first few seconds of me trying to appreciate the bloody map. Can't appreciate art! Things trying to kill me! Everyone dead? I'm not sure. Is everyone dead? I mean, that was 16 grunts. 16 bloody grunts. Well, that was a start. But as you see, basically the design is platforms much like Arena 1, but this time around with the focus being on water on the lower floor. And there's a bloody fiend down here. Oh god, there's a bloody fiend. Okay, kill the bloody fiend. Okay, I have time to swim around. Let's gather as much as we can. There's also this weird corner here. It's like totally leaking out. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that bloody glitch. Ain't that amazing? Yeah, look at that graphical glitch over there. Hooray, they hid it in darkness, but you can still see it here. Look at that. Look at that. The wire just randomly ends. Hooray, we found it to the end of the world. There's nothing of use here, people. Move along. Oh, look, explosives. Now I can be really dangerous and injure myself. Yay! I love being reckless. How else would I do half the things I do in these playthroughs if I wasn't reckless? See? It would be me if I didn't, you know, barge around like a maniac and mess up everything. Oh, look. A random light with weird glitches on the top. Look at the graphical glitches! Hooray! I'm on a light. I don't know why, but I'm on a light. Okay, so these ways lead up to stuff. And that stuff is painful, so we're probably going to die. But before we die, let us see if we can figure out how to navigate around and, well, pick up a lot of resources that might be useful and not dying. Like, quad damage! That's right. Quad damage is useful for cause explosives. Okay. Let's go up. Go, Captain Gadget. I think everyone's dead. Yep, there was one rotfish. One rotfish and one enemy missing. Therefore, I have done everything, and there's a random hole here which I do not want to fall in. Get this door. Oh look, pointless pentagram. Well, it's multiplayer based, so not pointless, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Take out every zig. Move zig. Move zig. Yes. Gatorade. Yes. 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 If I take a rocket, it bounces to the top. Here we are. I am now on the roof. Why? I do not know. But I'm on the roof. It was possible. It was a thing. Are you amazed that this was a thing? It was a concept at one time, people. Look at the concepts. Look, light, broken light, Gucci light, torch right above water. Terrible design. Yeah. And who puts these torches this low? Why are the torches this low? Was it made for short people? Did short people make this place? Yes, I think this was a place owned by short people. Hi. How you doing? Water. You can swim in it. And that's about it. Welcome to Useless Quake standalone levels. They serve no purpose and make you feel like you did nothing. Ain't that amazing? Ain't that spectacular? Yeah. Boom. Boom. Doom. Wait, this is Quake, not Doom. See? Quake. Very different. So yeah. It was a level that was made for multiplayer, so therefore, supposedly, we can't criticize that. But honestly, it was a pretty meh level. It mostly felt like one interconnected area. It had like two sections because of the cage above and the water area below. But because of its open nature, it really felt close to being a lot like Arena 1, and the fact that it was pretty much just a one-room map. And of course, I'm not big on those. I like more exploration in my things. Lots of grunts! What's it about grunts lately? My god, there's a lot of grunts. I want to escape Q2. I want a lot less grunts in my maps. Where are the Vors? Where are the spawns? You know, you could have a map pretty brutal with a lot of spawns. But where are they? Where are the Vors? Not many Shamblers. Death Knights? In fact, when was the last time we saw a Death Knight? Or a zombie for that matter? When was the last time we saw a zombie? My god! Now that I think about it, almost every map we play has a rocket launcher, but no zombies! What is going on? I mean, zombies are pretty pathetic, but where are the enforcers even? You want, like, base enemies? Where are the enforcers in all this mess? But yeah, no spawns especially. Spawns are a very rare sight, which I guess because the community hates them, but I like them. I want more bouncy blue things that blow me up and make me mad. Because that's brilliant, right? Absolutely sadistic designs, but I love it. I love spawns, and I really want more spawns in my maps. That's what we need. A lot of bouncy, deadly spawns that make me totally paranoid to play levels. um, but yeah, not the best levels by any means. It mostly was just platforms over water. It was taking the arena concept and now make it over water. It was the in space concept, but water based. And we saw water back and flooded, so it wasn't really a novel concept. Um, Definitely overall, this was a pretty much just a combination of different stuff we've seen in other levels, and really comes off as a pretty meh level because it's so small at the same time it's doing all this. It feels like it's trying to imitate a lot of bigger brothers while not offering anything new to the table and being relatively small, so it loses an exploration based thing. So, yeah. And that's kind of the big problem about multiplayer levels. Multiplayer levels are very short and really don't offer much playability for a single player. So it ends up being pretty boring, and you really don't get much out of it like you would a single player level. So, this was a thing. Not really the best of things, but the best of things are pretty much behind us for Dark Hour. The rest is pretty much just deathmatch stuff with monsters in them because why not? But besides the fact that they have monsters, they were intended for deathmatch, and because of that, they don't play as good as like the earlier maps. And so really, it's pretty much coming to a close. We're getting to the final stuff at Dark Hour. Not the best, but we'll close this thing up and we'll get to Aftershock. So weird to think I'm already getting back to Aftershock. But yes, Aftershock is up and coming. And then we'll actually be able to see something new. So weird to say that. But it is nice to go back and actually see all this stuff after having not touched it in a long time due to doing all this other crazy stuff in the meantime. So yeah, definitely feels nice. Anyway, thank you very much all for watching. It has been Adventure, and I shall see you all next time.